Hello, and welcome to another Fantasy Premier League video. My name is Steve, and I've mostly settled in on my chip strategy without knowing exactly who's going to blank in game week 34 and then also a likely double in game week 33. Now that's because my chip strategy is basically coming down to the use of the new Assistant Manager chip, which I still have left to play, as the use of this chip is basically going to dictate every other chip that I've got left to use. So in today's video, I'll be laying out my chip strategy that I'm going with, including which fixtures I'm likely going to target with the new Assistant Manager chip. And I've also got Mateta in my team, who used his face to stop the studs of the Millwall keeper in the FA Cup match a couple of days ago. Geez, if you haven't seen that tackle, poor Mateta, what a challenge to cop. He's going to be out for at least a day or two on the back end of that. But anyway, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, especially if you get any value out of the following content. Right, so game week 27, the key points. Now, I'm sorry I didn't get a video out before the game week 27 deadline. My personal life kind of took charge in the little time that we had before that deadline. But I ended up rolling the transfer and making 0 changes to the team, rolling out exactly the same team that I had in the prior game week. I came away with 64 points, which was actually a decent green arrow of 145,000 places with no chips in play, which is pretty solid going, all things considered, especially since there were still a few Assistant Manager chips floating about. Now, had I known that Isaac was going to be out with a groin injury, I would have played Kanate on my bench instead of Huijsen, as Isaac would have been the biggest goal threat to score against Liverpool, and I probably would have switched over to a double up in the Liverpool defense. However, with Isaac missing out, I did get Pedro in off the bench for a very welcomed 8 points. Mateta finally outscored Chris Wood 8 points to 2, clawing back most of the points that Wood had earned over and above Mateta's points over the last few game weeks. And so I think Mateta is about on par with Wood for the last 4 game weeks or so. Rodgers managed to nab a cheeky goal as they lost 4-1 to Crystal Palace, wrecking the clean sheet of any Crystal Palace defenders out there, scoring the only goal for Aston Villa. Gabriel and Raya both benefited from the 0-0 draw with, was it Nottingham Forest? Had Salah captain like pretty much everyone else. He got the assist, doubled through to 12 points, and Boomo picked up a cheeky assist. Don't know how Palmer didn't manage to come away with any points in the 4-0 demolition of Southampton. Put up a massive amount of XG and didn't pull anything in. And the only other 2 players in my team that blanked were my Bournemouth lads of Semenyo and Huijsen, coming away with a point apiece. And that's pretty much all she wrote for game week 27. And let's quickly move on to game week 28, as there is quite a bit to get through in this video. Now, heading into game week 28, I have 4 free transfers sitting ready to use, but I do only have 0.5 million sitting in the bank. Now, to catch you up to speed, I had already booked in a free hit 29 strategy a couple of game weeks ago, as my team is already loaded up with triple Liverpool, who blank in 29, Isaac, Mateta, and Rodgers. So I have 6 total blanking players in game week 29, and it just led quite easily into the free hit to avoid wasting transfers on trying to navigate the big blank game week. Additionally, Liverpool have a great run of fixtures, so I want to hold on to them. Both Newcastle and Crystal Palace are doubling in game week 32, and so I want to hold on to the likes of Mateta and Isaac even though Mateta is currently without a head. And that kind of rolls into what I will be doing with Mateta this week. It's super annoying that he's going to be missing this Ipswich at home game. Glasner has basically already ruled him out of this fixture. However, after game week 29, when he blanks, he does come back to a pretty good run of fixtures. I don't actually have a fixture ticket available apart from Ben Krillin's end of season schedule on Twitter, so we'll just use this. It's kind of ordered by, I think he's got the top teams with the most doubles and stuff at the top here. So Crystal Palace will have Mateta missing this Ipswich game, then he blanks, in which I will be free hitting. But then in game week 30, he has Southampton away, and the deadline for game week 30 is actually 4 weeks away on April the 2nd. So it's currently the 5th of March. Pretty sure Mateta will be back by game week 30. He's then got Brighton in 31, a double in game week 32 that's already confirmed, and a likely double in game week 33. And so I really have no plans to go and sell Mateta this week. I'm actually going to start him, because I think if he's well enough to play, they'll just start him against Ipswich. It's almost certain that he's just going to miss out the game completely, and I'll just let the auto sub come in. João Pedro against Fulham. Well, probably João Pedro against Fulham. To cover off Isaac quickly, because he did miss out in game week 27. He did play in the FA Cup 5th round. He scored the only goal in the 2-1 loss to Brighton and played 85 minutes, so his groin must be fine. And obviously I've got no plans to sell him. He will be starting in this match. Now, in terms of João Pedro coming in for Mateta, I mean, João Pedro, he's scored 2 goals and 1 assist in the last 2 fixtures, but he hasn't really been setting the world alight in and around that. Those 2 fixtures were against Southampton. He was being benched before that Southampton fixture. I actually benched him against that Southampton fixture for that very reason. He came away with a goal and an assist. I benched him again against Bournemouth to get him in off the bench, in which he did score, as Bournemouth have been really good all season. So Brighton have put together a couple of results. This Fulham fixture is going to be super tough, but at least it's at home for João Pedro. And since I've only got 0.5 million in the bank, I can't easily upgrade João Pedro without selling someone else. So the only move that I could make, I'm definitely not using 2 transfers this week. The only way that I can get hold of funds in this team is to sell one of my cash cows, which is either Palmer or Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm not selling either of these 2 players this week. Southampton at home for Trent Alexander-Arnold is just absolute banker fixture. And although Palmer has been failing to pull in points for some weeks now, it's been a hell of a long time. He got an assist against West Ham, but his last double-digit return was against Bournemouth in game week 21. However, I don't know how he didn't score against Southampton this week. Leicester is a super tidy fixture, and so I won't be selling him for that. So there's no way that I can easily get hold of funds in this team, as I'm not selling anyone else. So in terms of João Pedro, the only move that I could make would be a downgrade to someone like Strand Larsen. But is it really worth the transfer to bring in Strand Larsen to dodge João Pedro against Fulham at home? I don't think so. I think that transfer that I bank will be way more valuable in the upcoming doubles in double game week 32 and double game week 33. So in terms of moves for game week 28, I'm rolling this week to have 5 free transfers for when I do turn on that free hit in game week 29, so that when I get my team back in game week 30, I will still have 5 free transfers to play with. So that just leaves my chip strategy. I'll bring up this fixture ticker again. Now, by the game week 30 deadline in 4 weeks' time, so it is ages away. I think there's an international break in there. And of course the FA Cup and stuff. Is it FA Cup that's got this blank happening? Can't remember the exact fixture, but there's a lot of calendar weeks between now and the game week 30 deadline. But by the game week 30 deadline, we will know which teams are definitely blanking in this blank game week 34. Now, the only thing that we might not know is where those fixtures have moved. So in game week 30, we might not know where the fixture has gone, but we will definitely know which teams will blank in game week 34. It is very likely that these fixtures will move into game week 33, which will mean there's a double in game week 32 and a big double in double game week 33. There are also some UCL results that could also make teams blank and double in game weeks 34 and 33, but we won't necessarily know that by the game week 30 deadline. But like I said in the intro, my overall chip strategy comes down to the Assistant Manager chip. It is by far the most powerful chip in the game, and I will want to be using or having this Assistant Manager chip active across game weeks 32 and 33 in these 2 double game weeks. Now, when I turn on the Assistant Manager chip is kind of working backwards from the other chips that I still have to use. So just very briefly, I've got my wild card, my bench boost, my free hit, which will be used in 29, and my Assistant Manager chip that has to be active across game week 32 and 33. So I can't activate a wild card while the Assistant Manager chip is in play. So the Assistant Manager chip has to be done and finished before I use my wild card. And I kind of want to use my wild card to set up for the bench boost, which I am likely going to be bench boosting in the final double game week of the season, which could be in game week 35 or 36. We're not too sure. So the decision around turning on the Assistant Manager chip is, do I turn it on in game week 31 to catch 31, double game week 32, and double game week 33? Or do I turn on the Assistant Manager chip in game week 32 to have it active for game week 32, 33, and then also active in the blank game week 34? So in the worst case scenario for the number of chips that I've got left to use and how I want to kind of stack them one after the other, if the last double game week is in game week 35, because it could be in 35 or 36 here, if the last double is in game week 35 and I want to bench boost in game week 35, then I need to wildcard in game week 34 in order to set up for that double and for the bench boost, which means that I can't have the Assistant Manager chip active in game week 34. This is basically all pointing to me turning on the Assistant Manager chip in game week 31. And when I look at the fixtures on offer, especially the table bonus fixtures on offer in game week 31, there are actually some very tempting fixtures to target. And so I don't see any reason why I wouldn't turn the Assistant Manager chip on in game week 31. Now, just quickly before I actually discuss the 31 fixtures, this does also mean if I turn it on in 31, so it's active 31, 32, and 33, I can then also use my wildcard in blank game week 34 to manage my team through that blank, as well as setting up for the double in game week 35. And just a reminder, I do or will have 5 free transfers starting game week 30, which I will have to use across that run. So I should be able to manage this with wildcards and a whole bunch of transfers relatively easily. So for those game week 31 fixtures, these are the 3 table bonus fixtures that I am most likely going to target. And here's the other list of table bonus fixtures that are on offer, of which I will all be dodging. So in terms of the ones that I want to target, I would love to target Crystal Palace versus Brighton. But at the moment, they're only 4 positions. They're only separated by 4 positions in the Premier League table. Crystal Palace is currently 12th. Brighton are currently 8th. But the Premier League table is actually super congested in the middle of the table. So Crystal Palace down here in 12th are on 36 points. Then above them is 38 points Brentford, 42 points Aston Villa, 42 points Fulham, 43 points Brighton, 43 points Bournemouth, and 44 points Newcastle. And so depending on the results across the upcoming game weeks, this table is going to shift around quite a lot because all of these teams are basically within a couple of points of one another of the positions up and below them. So by the time game week 31 comes around, this could be a table bonus fixture. It's not at the moment, but it could be by game week 31. And because Crystal Palace also double in game week 32, and are likely to double in game week 33 as well, I might just turn it on for Oliver Glasner in game week 31 and just ride Crystal Palace through all of those fixtures. But we will have to see. If this is not a table bonus fixture, then I will be likely looking elsewhere. And the most likely fixture I will target at that point will be Unai Emery for Aston Villa in 10th place, taking on Nottingham Forest, who are currently in 3rd. Is that right? So 10th place, 42 points, and 3rd place, 48. Yeah, so Nottingham Forest is 48 points. Aston Villa on 42. That's only 6 points difference to cover off 7 places in the table. That's really, really close. They might not be 5 positions separated by the time this comes around. This could also not be a table bonus game, but would be one that I would like to target, as I do think Nottingham Forest is sitting much higher up the table than potentially where they will be by the end of the season. And if neither of those two are table bonus games on offer, then my third and final outside shot is probably Brentford at home to Chelsea. I do not like this because I do think Chelsea will probably get a result here. This is a bit more of a long shot and one that I would probably want to avoid, but if I was forced into it, this is probably where I'd go. Now, in terms of dodging fixtures, this is actually pretty easy. Everton in 16th versus Arsenal in 2nd. I suppose you could make a case for going for Everton here. Arsenal are without some of their key stars at the moment and haven't been getting the results lately, but I think Saka might be back by that point, and they might also have some players back from injury by game week 31, so I doubt I'll be targeting that. West Ham versus Bournemouth. I don't think West Ham are going to get a result against Bournemouth. Bournemouth have been great all season. I do not like the idea of taking on Liverpool in first place for a table bonus fixture. Fulham are the kind of team that could get a result though, but I do think those other fixtures that I've already discussed up here are just more likely to come off. I'm going nowhere near Southampton, especially against Tottenham. I'm also going nowhere near Leicester against 6th place Newcastle, which would also be table bonus. And United have just been terrible all season. I do not see them getting a result against Man City either. And so these are the reasons why I'll be largely dodging all of these fixtures in game week 31. So I'll likely be targeting a table bonus fixture for game week 31. And then in double game week 32, Crystal Palace are likely going to have 2 table bonus fixtures. One against Man City in 4th, and one against Newcastle in 6th. I think Crystal Palace could pull in a result against both of these teams. They are a bit of a bogey team for Man City. Man City have not been the Man City that we are used to all season. And so getting even 2 draws here, 2 draws is 18 to 20 points if Crystal Palace pull off 2 draws in these fixtures. They are both away from home though, but this is likely where I'll be going in Game Week 32. Not a hell of a lot else to discuss there. Newcastle have 2 non-table bonus fixtures, but I think Crystal Palace could beat them. Pretty sure Newcastle will beat United though, so. But yeah, Crystal Palace will be Game Week 32. And then I haven't put up double Game Week 33 because we just don't know who's going to be doubling in Game Week 33. Crystal Palace are likely going to double. Could be Bournemouth and Arsenal in Game Week 33, as this blank game week might just shift into Game Week 33, which would be another table bonus fixture, Palace playing Arsenal, with the added bonus game of the Bournemouth fixture, which I don't think would be... It might... Well, actually, the Bournemouth fixture could also be a table bonus fixture by that point, depending on how the results go in the game weeks leading up. So, potentially going for Crystal Palace the whole way through for 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 bonus table bonus games in a row. And if they get 5 results from 5 there, it could be absolutely massive, as these wins over here. I mean, 2 draws for a table bonus is 18 to 20 points. 2 wins is 36 to 42 points. 2 doubles, 2 lots of that, and an additional single. They only have to pull in a few results there for that assistant manager chip to be fully worth it. And then very quickly to tidy off, how am I going to deal with this big double game week in Game Week 33 when every other manager is going to be using some sort of chip in this big double game week? Every manager out there that's already used their assistant manager chip will either be free hitting or bench boosting. I suppose potentially some of them might be wildcarding, but I think it'll be mostly bench boost and free hits in Game Week 33. I will have the assistant manager chip on, and I should already have a few doubling players in my team, assuming all the right results come through. So my plan is going to be roll 28, free hit 29, 5 free transfers in Game Week 30. I will have to use a free transfer in Game Week 30 in order to not burn a transfer. And I will likely be selling Palmer or Trent in order to get some cash to make some moves. And when I sell Palmer or Trent in Game Week 30, I will be buying some sort of player that's doubling in either Game Week 32 or Game Week 33. I'll probably be targeting Newcastle at this point. Someone like Gordon will probably be coming in, which might force me into selling Palmer in midfield. That's probably where I will end up going, but we will wait and see. Game Week 31, I will again have 5 free transfers, assuming no injuries come up. And I will be turning on the assistant manager chip, which does not cost a transfer. So I will also have to make 1 transfer in order to not burn a transfer, which means I will also likely be buying another doubling player. And it will either be a Game Week 32 doubler, of which I might already be maxed out by that point, or I will buy in a double Game Week 33 player. Then in Game Week 32, when the double happens, I will again have 5 free transfers, and I will either use a transfer to switch the assistant manager chip to Oliver Glasner if I didn't already have Oliver Glasner in Game Week 31 because the table bonus fixture wasn't on offer. So if I don't have to switch the assistant manager chip, then I will be buying an additional double game weeker. This is why I should have already a few transfers leading into more double game week players in game week 32 or 33. And then in that big double of double game week 33, I could also still have 5 free transfers, having already spruced up my team with a couple more doublers. I will make a few transfers in this game week to stack out my 11 men to load up on the doublers, because every other manager out there will likely be free hitting and just have a whole team of doubling, or a whole team of 11 doubling players, which will be quite hard to... I don't want to be losing out on all those doublers while everyone else will be picking them up just because I've got my assistant manager chip on. So I'm probably going to spend a whole bunch of transfers in game week 33, and I might have to use one of those transfers in order to switch the assistant manager chip again if Crystal Palace doesn't double in game week 33, because I will be likely targeting those table bonus fixtures on offer. So, assuming I get no serious injuries like Mateta getting his head taken out in the FA Cup, I'm actually looking pretty well set up for the chip season and the run in for the 24-25 season. And alright, well, that wraps up this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a comment to tell us what you think. Good luck for the game week, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.